Farhan Akhtar is many things rolled into one: filmmaker, actor and singer. And now he's added one more dimension with Mard, his new social initiative. Mard, which stands for Men Against Rape and Discrimination, is Farhan's bid to bring about an attitude change among men with respect to the rights of women, among other things. The A-list met up with Farhan at La Sutra in Mumbai to talk about his Mard Avatar, a role that he says he's committed to for a lifetime. Farhan, thanks so much for doing the A-list on CNBC TV 18. To begin with, to start things out, define Mard.
Mard, I mean, is an acronym which means Men Against Rape and Discrimination. What it intends to do is, from our understanding, from what we see going on around us, we felt there are many groups that are doing very good work, progressive work in getting women aware of their rights, fighting for equality, fighting for stopping of violence against women, and many such things, and they're doing tremendous work in it. We were thinking about what is it that we can contribute as men, and to me, seeing what people were doing, hearing a lot of comments that are passed in the wake of certain incidents that took place, we were very concerned about a kind of a prevalent mindset that exists within a certain section of men in this country, and we thought that maybe somewhere it would be nice to redefine the concept of what it means to call yourself a man. I mean, like it's written in the charter as well, that we're all born male, but on what definition do we say that we are men? And to me, there's a lot of, when I think about it, there's many inputs that a boy gets between the ages of say 14 to 19, which is when he's coming into his own, and when there's a pressure on him that now you're a man, you're becoming a man, you know, his voice is breaking, his baby moustache is beginning to sprout. And he looks around him, and it's at that age, it's very difficult to go and talk to your uncle or your father or someone, you know, asking them, how do you romance mom, or, you know, how does someone talk to a girl? I mean, you just see what's going on around you. So more often than not, your influences are aggressive influences, you know, because of what you're seeing, whether it's reflected in a certain kind of film or in advertising, or what you're watching happening on TV, or you're seeing in your college around you. And those are the values you inculcate, and you say that, okay, this is what I need to be a man. And somewhere the focus is more on the aggressive side, to call yourself a man. I feel a lot less on the feminine within the man, you know, which is the more compassionate, gentle, slightly more, how would you say, I mean, just catering a little more to the maternal side within you. You know, and if we can focus on that, and tell men that, of course, the aggressive side is important, because you need those qualities to be able to go and achieve things that you set your mind to. But at the same time, so are these other passive qualities that you must have to balance those out. You know, otherwise you end up becoming a character that's slightly imbalanced, which I feel is what we are seeing a manifestation of, because we cannot have that many people suffering from some kind of chemical imbalance in the brain, which is why they're doing it. They're obviously a product of the environment.
You know, post the Delhi incident, there has been a lot of introspection. A lot of people have introspected and, you know, been thinking about self-regulation and all of that. A subliminal message which has somehow come out in a bit of the mass culture messaging that you've seen is that men now need to stand up and protect women. But that's clearly not what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm saying men should also stand up and protect women. Why not? You know, but I'm not saying that women should look to men as their only form of protection. I think that would be completely wrong of me to say that. But if I tell a man that you should protect a woman, there is nothing wrong in saying that. I'm also telling him, please protect another man. You know, if you see someone who's oppressed or someone who's in need of help and he's a male, you don't need to ignore him either. You know, the fact is that we need to just be sensitive to things around us. The minute we focus on those values, it will change the way we think about ourselves. We will feel more confident about I don't know, being considered not as adventurous as our friends. Who knows, you know, what the pressures are. And we'll be okay with that. And if we are okay with that, we'll be okay with people around us. So it's essentially that. It doesn't really have anything to do with only your treatment of women.
Okay.
I think it's how you define yourself as a man reflects on everything that you do.
Okay, what was the single most galvanizing point for you? I mean, when did, see, all of us after what happened in Delhi in December, there was outrage, there was a backlash, you know, we questioned legislation, we questioned the state, we questioned everything. When did it become more about what you can do?
It was a series of events. I think it's been troubling me for a very long time. You know, these are kind of conversations that you have with either friends or people who may know somebody who can do something about it, or to find out is something being done. And there was a lot of anger, you know, and I think a lot of my expression that happened with those groups when I spoke to them involved me being angry about it and venting my anger because I felt very helpless that there's nothing that I can do. There were two before the Delhi one. I think the Delhi really was a big one because I think everyone felt emotionally devastated by that event. You know, so I think that was really a point where I said, now I must do something. But before that, there were many events like the Guwahati molestation that happened. That was something that troubled me tremendously. Then of course what happened with like the baby Falak case, you know, and subsequently and many other such cases. But these are the two that come to mind very prominently. And also in the wake of these incidents and many incidents like this, the comments that would come in from political figures, you know, from police people once in a while. And that was very troubling, you know, because these are the people who we need to look to and perpetrators need to be scared of. And they weren't seeming to instill any kind of fear. They were not seeming to instill any kind of demand of respect for the law or of punishment. And then at this Delhi moment, it just felt like something, I mean, a lot more than sitting and having a conversation with friends needs to be done. I personally don't have a major problem with an item song. And if I feel that it's too lewd, I won't watch it. But I can't blame the woman saying that how dare you do this song, it's her choice. How can I take away her freedom of choice?
Now when the anti-rape law was being discussed in Parliament, the nature of political discussion bordered on the ridiculous. Someone actually said that, you know, stalking is part of romance. How can you make it
yes, I did hear that.
You know, so does that bother you that, you know, that is the nature, these are people who are making your laws for you. And
I mean, see, yeah, they are. I also do understand that we voted them in. So we have to, I don't know, try to put as much pressure as we can in a civilized manner, you know, on them. But the thing is, beyond all of that, I mean, we of course have to rely on judiciary, which I think does a wonderful job and it has to do it, on police reform, on various things. But I think the largest thing to focus on, I genuinely believe, is on educating the next generation that's going to become men. I think that is what we need to focus on. I think if we can get it into their heads and into their hearts and into their minds, you know, that there is absolutely no difference between you and a woman. Everyone is equal. You have to treat them with a certain amount of dignity. People of course deserve respect or don't deserve respect. That depends on their character, I guess. You know, but dignity, I think, is important. You know, and equality is important. And I think that if we can focus on children, like the age category that we spoke about, maybe even younger, in their formative age, in the forms of stories or games or however people who are in education would know better than me to do. I feel that is, we need to see a change happening on that level, which will take some time, because I also feel that there will be a generation or a couple of generations now that are a little beyond being changed. You know, I think maybe their values are too deep-rooted.
Too indoctrinated.
Too deep-rooted. Maybe they'll adapt a few, but I don't know how much they'll change. We can only hope. But I think the big step forward would be educating children.
Is that why you're also actively employing social media? Because that's really where you can connect.
I mean, that's really where a lot of the school and college kids are right now. You know, they're on social media. But apart from that, it's not only about, you know, it's important to not come across as somebody who's doing something elitist. You know, that's very crucial. So we are very categorically targeting regional, you know, wherever it can go. So I mean, the internet is one aspect of it, because it's easier for us to do right now. but there is very conscious effort going into firstly into our national press, which is the Hindi press, and then going forward into more regional press. So whether it's being the charter, the poem that we've written is being translated into Marathi, into Punjabi, into Bengali, into Kannada, in various different languages. And we want it to go everywhere, and we want people, if they can, and there's no forcing anyone to do anything, you don't have to donate any money. There's nothing. I mean, it's just a simple poem and a simple value behind it. You can choose to agree with it, you can choose not to agree with it. But if you do, then it would be nice for you to take it forward, and so there can be some kind of a trickle-down effect into society regarding it.
So that was a worry for you when you started this, that it shouldn't just get restricted to a trending topic on Twitter.
No, it can't. It can't. I mean, see, the thing is that I realize completely that this is a lifetime commitment. It's not something that's it's not a phase, because these problems will occur time and again. We can only hope that the frequency at which they occur at becomes much less than it is now. I don't think there's any country in the world that has no crime or has no rape rate, or
no,
I'm sure every country does. So that would be hoping for utopia, which I don't think will happen.
But do you think a lot of us have now become Twitter tigers or Twitter activists? Because a lot of times what I do is I retweet something, or I sign an online petition, and I think, okay, my job is done. Is that
No, it's not. I mean, it depends on how strongly you've been shaken into action. I think that's the big thing. For me, I mean, this is something that it really concerns me. It concerns me because, I mean, eventually we have a lot of young girls and young boys who are growing up right now. And what are they going to, I mean, if we can't keep them safe, I mean, then what's the point? I mean, if you have to be worried as a parent or as the friend of a parent, that these kids are going out, what will happen to them? Will somebody rob them? Will somebody kill them? Will somebody rape them? I mean, how can you live like that?
Okay, and the inevitable question that you will be asked is, because you're from the Hindi film industry, and when the December incident happened, a lot of backlash was directed towards Bollywood films, towards item songs, towards the objectification of women.
True.
So, do you think it became a convenient scapegoat, or was there enough? Were there enough reasons?
No, I mean, you can have a cause for concern with almost everything that happens in this country. I don't think you can single out the film industry, but I think the film industry also, like I've written about this, and what I did feel, and I still do feel, is, to me, genuinely, the item song is not as dangerous, or it's not dangerous. The fact is that if you know there's an item song in a film, you have the choice. Excuse me, you have the choice to not see it. You have the choice to change the channel if it's on TV. You have all those choices. So to go there, watch it, and then say it's obnoxious, or to watch it and then say it's lewd, why are you putting yourself through it in the first place? Don't go. The second thing that I feel actually is a lot more dangerous, or actually is more a cause of worry for me. Dangerous, I think, is too strong a word. Is more a cause of worry, is the method at times in which your lead actor romances your lead actress.
Okay.
To me, that is at times more a cause of worry, because that, I feel, is more what someone who's impressionable will want to emulate than want to emulate an item song. So if they see,
you mean the stalking and
the mild harassment that happens, the girl saying, I don't want, like, leave me alone, but him saying no.
Your no means yes.
No means yes constantly, and I mean, at times it can even go into a zone maybe in a film, you may have seen it, where it crosses a certain level of what is decent, and the actress still ends up with that man. And these are leading figures, and they are icons, and like, I was impressionable when I was a young boy, when I was watching movies of my big stars. To me, that was how you romance someone, and that was how you felt about yourself, because it reflects on you. So to me, that is more a cause of worry, which is what I did write about in this thing as well. So of course, I think the film industry, especially recognizing what the situation is at this moment in the social sphere, vis-a-vis this gender problem, we should introspect, and we should be a little bit more careful. You can't tell people what kind of work to do, because you can't impinge on their freedom of expression, but you can voice your concern, You can say that this is what I think is something that's worrisome. And if you feel that you want to think about it seriously and do something, wonderful, you must. I'm not drawn to anything that's too crude or too vulgar or I'm not drawn to it in any case, even to watch. So more often than not, I'll end up doing films, whether as a director or as an actor, that don't focus too much on that aspect of entertainment.
We've all become very sensitized and very maybe politically correct. Do you become like completely sanitized also, because there can be the occasional harmless sexist joke or locker room conversation?
Yeah, no, I mean, of course.
Where do you draw the line? Because now it's suddenly like...
You're absolutely right. I think humor is impossible if it's not at somebody's expense.
Absolutely.
It has to be at somebody's expense, otherwise it's not funny. You know, so that's a given. And people, unfortunately, I think because everything seems so messed up, people have gotten overtly sensitive. Nobody wants a joke on them anymore because they feel that it might be coming from a place that's not a healthy place. That people have have a prejudice, people have a bias. So everyone's gotten extremely defensive, and when you get defensive because you're feeling a bit insecure, that's the only time you feel defensive. I mean, if you're confident about your place in society, and if you're confident about your place vis-a-vis other communities and everything else, you won't have these complexes. So these complexes can only seep in if actually you're noticing something's not right.
But also, like, you know, like I was saying, that of course popular culture will reflect the value system finally of a society. So somewhere when you blame a song or you blame certain lyrics, you're taking the onus away from the consumer, I feel. Because I am consuming it.
I completely agree with you. I think the one thing about film, which I mean most people when they point fingers at film tend to forget, is you have the option not to watch it. You have the power to make it fail. You have the power to make it succeed. So you can't tell me that, oh, we will all go and see this film and then we will all come out and abuse this film and say that how dare you all make a film like this. We knew exactly what we're going to watch. You know, so I mean promos are pretty honest about what the film is going to be about. The music is out there for you to listen to. If you don't like the lyrics, if they're troubling you and you have to shut your ears and I don't know, to say whatever you have to say, don't go. You know, or don't buy the album or don't download it for free. You know, so I mean there's many things you can do.
Don't download it for free.
That's more often than not, that's what they do, no?
Yeah. But also I feel, okay, it's a theory, that in a truly liberal society, if a woman wants to be perceived as a sex object, that's her prerogative.
You're absolutely right. Which is why, no, you are right. Which is why I'm saying I personally don't have a major problem with an item song. And if I feel that it's too lewd, I won't watch it. But I can't blame the woman saying that how dare you do this song, it's her choice. How can I take away her freedom of choice?
But having said that, has contemporary Hindi cinema sort of figured out the new Indian woman?
I don't know, I think there's definitely a change. I mean, if you think back over the last decade, I feel, you know, apart from a certain kind of film maybe that's made, there's a lot of films that are made that deal with women on a very, very respectable level in terms of what their part is, the size of their roles. So I'm not really that concerned about our women constantly being treated as doormats in movies. I don't think that's true. I think there's enough substance roles for them. There's also they have enough power, and I think they have enough clout within the film industry to speak to directors, to speak to writers, to producers, saying let's do a film that could mean something. So that's entirely their choice as well. I mean, I think they can also take an initiative to try and do something.
And really coming back to the function of cinema, I feel the first and foremost function has to be entertainment. But as an actor, you're acting now, and you know, as a director, do you look at the social responsibility angle?
I mean, as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I can. I think there's also films that come your way which don't always have to be socially responsible.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, you have to be, for whatever it's worth. I mean, unless you're playing a character who's a creep in the film, you know, but then you're dealt with as a creep in the film. but the fact remains that eventually creative choices, you cannot make them on a preconceived basis that this is only the kind of role or this is the only kind of film that I will do. These are things that when you hear them or when you read them, they do something to you, and there's a part of you that says that you just have to do it. I mean, for me, I just think fortunately, more than not, my sensibility is relatively stable. You know, in terms of I'm not drawn to anything that's too crude or too vulgar or too. I'm not drawn to it in any case, even to watch. So more often than not, I'll end up doing films, whether as a director or as an actor, that don't focus too much on that aspect of entertainment. But I have nothing against it. I think people are entitled to do whatever they want.
Okay, and also you have daughters and you have a sister. Were there differences in how you were brought up? It was completely equal?
No, there was no difference. You know, there was no difference between how my parents were with Zoya and how they were with me. And I think possibly that has a lot to do with the way she is and I am. That I am about women and she's about men. I think has a lot to do with that.
Okay.
I hope that I can be the same kind of parent with my kids.
But in these change times where, you know, are there things that you tell them which you would tell them because they're girls?
See, I don't have a son, so it's difficult for me to say what I would say to him because he doesn't exist. But to me, I mean, of course, like any other parent at this point, your biggest concern is safety. You know, which when I think back to my childhood and Zoya's childhood, my parents, I mean, of course they wanted us to be safe, but they were a lot more relaxed about us being out of the house and running around on the streets, as I'm sure your parents were too. And that I feel very unfortunate about because it's such a wonderful memory from my childhood to have that freedom.
Absolutely.
You know, like I could just go out of my house and go onto the beach with my dogs if I needed to and run around, and there'd be nobody to look over me and I'd come back. And there'd be no one to disturb me or, you know, like try to molest me or my sister. You know, it was just...
Those were not concepts you knew about.
No, or neither did our parents. They didn't have those fears.
My parents had no clue about...
No, I'm sure they knew that it's possible, but they didn't have those fears that it could happen where they were living. You know, I mean, if you think about it, when we were growing up, we were always told, "Wahan mat jao, wahan it's a dangerous place." Now everywhere seems dangerous. So, I mean, if that's happened, that's something that we should be very concerned about.
So, last question really. I just want you to give me a few lines, or if you could tell us the charter of Mard. If you can.
Yeah, sure. If you can, I can read it out to you.
Yeah, sure.
He whose eyes sparkle with honesty, whose manner is impeccable, whose demeanor is gentle, whose words are truthful yet polite, whose heart holds respect, whose deeds display honor. He who venerates women for their mind, body and soul, who ensures that their dignity will never be compromised, who never ever forgets that like him, she is an individual. He who has character, who has strength and an indomitable spirit. He who is a companion, a friend, a confidant. He is a man.
Thank you so much, Farhan, and all the best with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.